I am Gary Lime, and I'm here to tell a funny story about Mr. Pody, who, after, I guess, a million years, roundabout, is taking his well-earned retirement. Funny story about Mr. Pody, I can tell you. This is actually the story of how I met him, as well as how, in that first meeting, he pretty much shaped my life in the direction it's in now. It's funny because I was actually telling this to another friend of mine earlier, that it's literally because of that first time I met him that my life is completely different. Like, it would be somewhere else. I don't even know. I couldn't even imagine where it would be right now, but it's so much better now because of that first meeting. Which is amazing to say about somebody, that the first time you meet somebody, they completely alter your life and where you're going to go. And it's amazing. So, this would have been 1997, 98. I am a sophomore in high school. I'm a sophomore in high school, but it's my first year at Del Castle, because I spent my freshman year at Hodson. So, it's my first year at Del Castle. Huge school. I think it was like the biggest in the state at the time, or second biggest high school in the state, so something like that. And whereas Hodson was a very small school, so I don't know anybody. I'm kind of in over my head. I got this huge chip on my shoulder. And basically, I'm this poor weird kid who writes all the time. That was sort of what everybody who knew me knew, that I was basically the kid he's that weird kid with all the curly hair, the big afro. And he writes all the time. He's really weird. He's always, wearing the same clothes. Like that was me in high school. And so, I kind of took that for what it was worth. And I was writing all the time. And as one particular day, I'm in lunch in the cafeteria with, my little group of friends. And two girls came over to our table to talk to us. Correction, to talk to me. Now, you gotta remember, I am 16, 17 years old at the time, and two girls who look good, who I don't know, want to come over and talk to me and see how I'm doing. Like, come on, man, you know what I mean? Like, I know exactly, like every guy would be like, oh, hell yeah, like, I'm king shit, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking I'm just the coolest cat in the room, And they're like, oh, hey, Gary. They know my name, which just even blew my mind at 16, because I'm like, oh my god, the good-looking girls know my name. I'm so cool. Typical guy, And they're like, oh, hey, we wanted to invite you to come to our theater club, this drama club thing we're doing after school, like on Thursday. I think, if I remember, it was on Thursday. And, you can come and, we're going to hang out and do, like, acting stuff. And it's going to be, like, a lot of fun. And I'm, again, 16, just staring at the girls, like, whatever you say, And I was like, yeah, sure, okay, sure, whatever. But the only problem was I ran indoor track at the time. I ran it very poorly, but that's what I did after school. I ran indoor track. So I was like, well, I can't miss track practice. And the girls are like, oh, but Gary, we really want you to be there. And they're just totally feeding me this junk that to this day I still buy. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, I'll try to make it. And they're like, oh, but Gary, we'd really love for you to be there, so you should really try to make it. Just totally buttering me up. And quick side note, to this day, Mr. Pody has not confirmed or denied for me whether or not he sent those girls to talk to me. But I know him, so I know you did it. I know you did. You don't have to admit it, because, you want to be above it. I get it. I know it was you, though. Because this is what I would have done if I was talking to me at that age. Just send a couple girls. He'll do whatever they say. That was smart. Anyhow, so you get to, if I remember right, it was Wednesday or Thursday night, or Thursday after school. And it's that really great time after school where your last class has ended, everyone's kind of getting on the bus to go home, and there's that weird 20, 30 minutes, really, where school is ended, but the after-school activities haven't started. So you're in it's kind of this weird limbo kind of time when you're in school. It's really nice because it's emptying, but you've still got somewhere to go. It's nice. And the boys' locker room, I'll never forget this. The boys' locker room is at the end of the hallway which is the same hall. It's the only hallway you could get to the boys' locker room from. So you had to go all the way down to get to the stairwell to go down, and it was the only stairwell that went to the boys' locker room. And to get down that hallway, you had to go past Mr. Pody's room. And Mr. Pody's room was the second door on the left-hand side, because the first one was the teacher's lounge. And I can see it to this day. And so school ends, I come around the corner, I'm walking, because I'm gonna go to track practice, even though I'm horrible at track and I don't like it. I'm gonna go to track practice, and I make that left, and I swear by all things holy, to this, I've told the story since that, from that day to this, the exact thing happened to me where I had that vertigo effect. Where you look down a hallway and it just gets longer the longer you look at it. And I literally had that sensation. And I thought it was just special effect kind of tricks in movies. I literally had that happen to me. Just watching the hallway just go down forever, it felt. And I'm just so exhausted just from the idea of walking it. Because I'm I got to walk down this forever hallway just to get to track practice to run and whatever else. Because I said I was going to do a track practice. And I'm walking down this hallway, and I don't get too far down the hallway because I look to my left, and there's Mr. Pody's classroom. And I see the two girls who talked to me earlier, and they're in there, and I can hear them laughing and having a good time. And there's other girls in there, and they're laughing, having a good time, and they're talking to other guys. And there's a whole bunch of, I can hear about 15 or so people in the room just having a good time, laughing and enjoying it. And I'm looking at that room, and I'm looking down the hallway at, this forever going hallway, the track practice. And I look over here to the left, and I had no arts experience whatsoever. I know what movies were because, it's where you went on a Saturday night. I didn't have any idea of the arts and how they worked or any of that stuff. But I knew, it's crazy, I knew at that exact moment, 1997, 90, I remember that exact moment, I knew that this was going to be the moment that changed my life. It sounds weird, it sounds crazy. I knew it then that whichever way I went, this was going to, I knew this was going to change my life. And so I decided to make a left. And I went into the classroom, and there was, the girls and some guys and, Mr. Pody, and they were all just sort of talking and, going on about, doing theater games and stuff. And so that was kind of how it started. First time I met him was in that classroom, actually, because I had never had him for a teacher at the time, because my freshman year was at a different school, and I didn't end up having English until the following semester. So I didn't know who he was. And, so we go through the introductions or whatever. He tells us what he's doing, and then he calls me to talk to him, privately. And I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's done. I know nothing about him. All I know is I'm a 16-year-old kid with this huge chip on his shoulder who, doesn't really understand why he's here and doesn't really get along with the other kids in the room. That was me in high school. The weird artsy poor kid in the corner. And writing all the time. And so he calls me over, and he's like, do a little introduction thing, and he tells me how they want to spend the day, they want to rather spend their class time, writing a play. And he's like, well, I know you write, because, I've seen you write for the school newspaper, and people who knew me in school knew that I was a writer, even then. And, I was always, I was failing all my non-writing classes, which was, a good testament. And so he's like, all right, well, I know you write, and we were thinking maybe you could write a play, for our theater group, our drama club, and then we would get, the drama club would then perform that play. Now, again, I have no concept of what theater is. I literally did not know it was a thing. I didn't know that people spent money to sit in an auditorium and look at a stage where people performed stuff. I did not know that was a thing. I thought there was movies and TV, and I didn't really understand what they were either, but that's all I knew. I didn't know there was a thing called theater. And so when he explains to me, I'm from, a tough, poor neighborhood. I immediately just put on that's whack. I ain't doing that. That's corny. I don't do corny, whack stuff. Write a play? Come on now, man. I ain't doing that. And I remember what he said. He said to me, again, same demeanor, everything else. He's like, all right, that's fine. It's no problem. You probably couldn't do it anyway. Don't worry about it. Not a problem. Hang out, drink some soda, eat some pizza, hang out, talk to the girls, and thanks for coming out. And I'm like, cool, fine. I was such a hard ass at 16. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah. So I go and I talk to the girls, eat the pizza, drink the soda. End of that little class or whatever, I'm on the bus going home. So I get on the bus and I'm headed back, the after school bus, headed back home after the drama club meeting, the first drama club meeting, and I'm fine, I'm whatever, and then something's bugging me, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is, like something is just not feeling right, and then it dawns on me. I remember what he said. He said, well, you probably couldn't do it anyway. And all of a sudden I'm on the bus, I'm like, who the fuck does he think he is to tell me I can't do it? He don't know me. So I start getting really hyped. So, I'm 16. I don't realize I've just been played. So then I spent that weekend, I remember I spent the weekend like, well, he thinks I can't do it. Well, forget him. I ain't want to do it anyway. So who cares? Right? Thinking that's going to last. And that made it to like a day and a half. And then I literally, by the time I got back to school that following week, I was just livid. I was like, I could not get it. It had just sort of snowballed into this huge thing for me, where I was like, he thinks I can't do it, but he don't even know me. He thinks I can't do it because I'm just some poor, weird, artsy kid. Oh, wait till he finds out. You know what I mean? I'll write the most banging ass play ever. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just gone at this point. So I see him the next, the following week. I guess it would have been probably a Wednesday or Thursday. And I didn't have class with him either. I literally skipped, it was in between classes. I just kind of barged into his room, his classroom. And I was like, I stand in front of his desk like a man, thinking, who are you to tell me? Not realizing that I had been played the entire time. This went according to his plan, right down to the beat. Because that's, because he knows what he's doing. And I look at him and I'm like, so how do you write a play anyway? And he's like, oh, well, I can show you how to do it, and this is how it works. And he kind of shows me the basic format. And I'm like, he's like, so you want to write a play? And I'm like, no. Maybe. Because I'm 16, you know what I mean? I got this huge chip on my shoulder. I don't know any better, So I'm like, maybe. All right. Fine. Let's do it, And then he's like, all right, well, think of a story you want to tell. And, we'll see how it works on stage. I was like, that's it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. So I turn corner, march back, because I didn't have a good response after oh. And then I spent the rest of that school year writing a play that we then performed. And it was a good little play, good first play. And then, by then I was hooked. I knew then from, writing the play and being on stage, I knew this was it for me. Because I knew that this is what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And all because he played me for a sap. He played me for a fool. And he was right. Literally, I remember thinking, years later, looking back on it and being like, he knew the whole time to say that. Oh, well, you probably couldn't do it anyway. And just knew that, give it time, let it grow, bam, And it's crazy because him doing that, kind of having the forethought and knowing that was just the forethought of this technique will work on this kid, watch. And approaching me differently than he did others. Because he didn't teach every kid the same way. He taught every kid the way that they needed to learn. And knowing that just instinctively, as we talked, to know that and go, oh, this is how I can reach this kid to help him understand. And that is crazy to think about because because of that moment, I am so much in a better place now than I would have been otherwise. I can't get past that, really. It's really amazing to me that, that conversation, that one conversation with a teacher who, at the time, I didn't even know. I hadn't had any classes with him. I didn't know him in the hallway to see him. I didn't know where his room was, none of that stuff. I didn't even know what he taught. But knowing that one conversation just totally sent me in this place that I'm in now, which is so much better than it would have been otherwise. I write professionally, I act professionally, I've done theater, I've done film, I've done television, I've written movies, I've written stuff for television, I'm writing novels, the writing and the acting both. It's now at this place where I can call myself a professional at it. This is what I do, for a living. This helps pay my bills. This is, how people know me. It's what I put on my W-2s, stupid stuff like that. But, just knowing that none of that would have been possible without that one meeting, without him knowing just how to knowing exactly what button to push, and knowing that put me on the path to find where I'm at now is really something. It's something I can't find words for. Which, for anybody who knows me, that's a compliment. And it's really amazing because thanks to him doing that, I'm living the life I want to lead, and I have you to thank for that. So, thank you, Mr. Pody, and. Thank you for telling my 16-year-old me that I couldn't do it. Punk ass. And, no, so that you've well earned this retirement. I know I am one of thousands of students that you have, sent on the right way. And thank you for that, because you don't get a lot of teachers who will talk to you the way you need to be talked to. And you don't have a lot of teachers who continue to instruct you even after you're out of the classroom, because I graduated in 2000, and we still talk all the time, and always, you look at this when you're writing this, or look at how when you're always keeping me up to task to things, and I really appreciate that. And it's amazing because I can count on one hand the number of teachers that I can say really made that impact, and you're a few of the fingers. So yeah, thank you very much.